Hello, everybody. Today we are talking about Far Cry 3, and let's start it off. What it is a sandbox FPS. That's a first-person shooter, and it has an overlying story. So even though it is a sandbox, you are kind of led along the way, and there's not really any time where things are just left up to you. It gives you something to do. It has a pretty large area and very tropical if you like that beachy feel, hot temperatures kind of thing. You do have a handful of weapons with customization options. Now, it's not so many weapons that you won't know what to do with them all, but it's enough that it'll keep you busy. You can unlock them relatively consistently, and there is customization, like I said, although that's also a little bit minimal. In the game, you shoot to kill bad guys, to kill animals, to kill targets if you want, I guess. You hunt. There's lots of animals. You can hunt them, take their skins, craft things with them. You can explore the island by unlocking radio towers, which unlocks more of the map, by defeating outposts, which clears an area of enemies. You drive, which is pretty much the way you're going to be getting around, except for the flying. You can also fly in a way. And by fly, I mean glide. You get a wingsuit at some point in the game, and there are also hang gliders stationed along the outside. Now, one point I have to note here, I'm not covering online mode in here, so if you care about that, this is not the review for you. Anyhow, the pros for this game. It's a big area. It's filled pretty well. And I say pretty well as in it's better than Far Cry 2 was filled. And I liked Far Cry's 2 world. I liked the desert kind of African Sahara mix they had going. But there are a lot of times you're driving forever and nothing would happen. This game does have a lot of things in it that can keep you occupied, whether it be hunting, searching for treasure, and it marks that kind of stuff on your mini map, which makes it pretty convenient and easy to get into, And the easier it is to get into, the more likely you are to do it, and that kind of stuff fills the world up, makes it feel real. Let's see, there are also hunting locations, like I said. There are towers which you climb and opens up new areas. They're kind of the same thing. They do get progressively harder, but not so much in a way that you'll ever be so stuck. And there are outposts as well, and they do escalate as the game progresses. The enemies get tougher, there are more of them, and they're kind of the fun thing to take down. You're basically free to take them down any way you want. You snipe them from a distance, which honestly never really works well for me. Sneak in, and you got to disable the alarm so they can't call for reinforcements. You can let loose animals in the camps and let them do it for you. Another great pro of this game, it looks damn fine. Now, I did have some issues with it. I don't always run it at the maximum fineness. So, trust me when I say, even in my settings, it looks pretty good. If you go into it and you are capable of running it at ultra settings or the max settings the game allows, that's really good. That's pretty freaking sweet. And it shows. There's tons of bloom and depth of field effects, lots of shading and nice shadows. Overall, pretty happy, and it pretty much has to be because the amount of flora that there is around, that when plants look bad in games, they look bad, but when you pull it off right, it looks pretty darn fine. I think it had a better story overall than Far Cry 2, so it improved upon that. And by that I mean, if I were to take the average, if I were to give each part of the story a score and average that out, I think it would be higher than Far Cry 2's, even though in Far Cry 2 I feel like they did a better story at the ending. It had more moving moments, not even the ending, even partway through. I was tricked, I was betrayed, I was, really emotionally up in that, whereas this I didn't feel like it. I mean, though it does keep you suspecting, it doesn't have those big twist moments like Far Cry 2 did. One big benefit, there's an after game. It's not like you make your choice at the end anymore and the game ends, you can't play that save file anymore, because that really pisses me off. The after game is a big benefit, and I thought there was a pretty good scripting of movements. When you talk with characters, it's not just like they're standing there moving their mouths at you with no emotion. They're moving their hands, they're moving around, you can see them acting like people, and I think that must have taken a lot of work. Kudos to Ubisoft for pulling that one off. Now, on the cons side of things, the driving. Far Cry has never been known for its great driving mechanics, and it possibly got a little worse. I found this was like really hard to control at times, and I don't know, something about the hills maybe makes it harder. Not really sure, but it didn't feel quite as right. The guns, so they took away the feature that guns are jammable, and that kind of, I don't know, that irks me a little bit. I really enjoyed that feature because it was like you didn't know when something was going to break. You had to worry about maintaining your weapons. It went for a more Call of Duty approach. Oh, look at it, you can put cool skins on it. It never breaks, always fires perfectly kind of thing. I don't really like that. And that kind of ties in with a general loss of difficulty. In general, I think Far Cry 3 is a lot easier. There are a lot less enemies that are willing to chase you across the map. Like in Far Cry 2, they chase you forever. And they basically did a lot of the same damage to you as they could do for them when you set the difficulty high up enough. And yeah, I don't know. I think difficulty can be better in this case. That's the kind of game I was looking for. It's possibly one of the worst running games I've ever had. Like, I have a decent computer. It's not like super, super beefy, but it's good enough. And it lagged a lot. I couldn't figure out why, man. I turned on the settings, then nothing seems to help. But it lags heavily, especially when it has to load things quickly. Like when you're hang gliding or sailing with the flying suit or whatever it is. It loads a lot of stuff going by, and I feel that lag. It makes it less enjoyable. With regards to the characters, I thought they're kind of meh. I didn't really care about saving my friends in the end. I didn't really care about that chick. I didn't even, there's nobody I wanted to help or save. It was nice they had a good character arc for the main character, but no one else really was that cool. Voss was kind of neat, but he's kind of overblown. Okay, I'm not getting into that. He's overblown, and they were more existent in the story. Like, they had dialogue, but they had no impact, and that kind of sucks for me. And there's a lot of smaller spaces. I liked the wide open spaces. Like in Far Cry 2, I would snipe all the time, like a ton, and they had shitty sniper rifles compared to this game. But it was possible because there were wide open areas. Now the wide open areas in this one have been taken away relatively effectively, and that kind of sucks. There's less options for approaches, and even when I do think I'm really far away and can snipe, they all know where I am instantly, and it's no good. So, bam, don't like that. Finally, unskippable cutscenes. Never do this in your games. If this is the third time I've played the game, or the second time, or who knows, the 10th time, I don't want to have to watch your goddamn cutscene again. Don't let me have to sit there and watch the whole thing, man. So let me skip it. That's it. Okay, on to the scores. So for gameplay, it does really well. I think the gameplay is actually pretty good. There's a few things, like I mentioned, the driving and some of the restrictions. So I gave it a 2.5 out of 3, and I don't think that's so bad. With regards to addiction, it can keep you pretty addicted, but it was never at a point where I'm like, man, I played till 3 in the morning. So I'll give it a 1 out of 2, because it did keep you kicking around. For reliability, I usually don't knock the score down unless it crashes or something like that. But in this case, I actually am knocking it down half a point because it lagged at times, and I think it's the coding. I can't think of anything else, man. I hate to do it, but 0.5 out of 1. Atmosphere, like I said, it made a beautiful job of making everything look nice and involved, and there are characters all around. It makes it feel more realistic in the sense, not like in the sense that it's like real life, but in the sense that it immerses you better. So I got to give it 2 out of 2 for that. And finally, replay value. Now, when you play through the story, it's not really, in my opinion, worth it to play through the story again. So I can't give it a 2 out of 2, but it does have a lot of after main storyline ability. If you didn't do all the towers, all the outposts, or all the little side quests, they're there for you. So replay value, a 1 out of 2. That brings our total score to 7 out of 10, which I think is a respectable score. I do recommend, if you can get it for cheap, do it. I got it for cheap a while back for $10 on Steam, and it was worth it. So, it's $10 including Far Cry 1 and Far Cry 2 and all the DLC. So, hopefully you can pick it up for a similar deal in the future. Anyhow, guys, thanks for watching. Have yourself a great day, and I'll see you again soon, hopefully with more videos. Take it easy.